right, let's move on to another app story. As it turns out, investors are very interested in paying big bucks for things that they think teenagers like. Kurt Wagner over at Recode reports that anonymous app After School just received $16.4 million in funding. Now, in case you're not familiar with After School, it's a social networking app, sort of like Yik Yak, where you can post whatever you want anonymously, except for the fact that you have to link it to your Facebook account so that they can prove that your age. And if you want to get into special age-restricted sections where you can see curse words and that sort of thing, you have to scan your driver's license. I actually logged into After School last year because I'm kind of the creepy mom that does that. I said I went to Petaluma High School, which I do not, and I did it for journalistic purposes, but it let me in. It let me see everything, and it was weird because I saw the faces of my friends' children, like in their, Facebook profile, because that's what it pulls in, and I immediately went off and did not creep around in there. That's all. I just looked and said, you don't have to actually. They don't do anything to check to see if you're actually a student.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
I hate anonymous apps.
I'm with you.
I think that they encourage bad behavior, and that does not necessarily mean kids. It's, remember Secret?
Yep.
That was like the worst app ever.
Yeah.
Horrible, horrible adults saying horrible things about each other. But I guess I respect the fact that a company is trying to, have some sort of identity built into it so that if really something were to go down, you could figure out who it was based on their Facebook profile. I still I don't know. I don't think much of this stuff. I'm not sure if it's because I'm older. I don't think that's it. I think that I don't really like anonymous things. I think that the internet has taught me, if nothing else, that if you give someone that kind of power, they'll say something really mean.
Yeah, it kind of goes right directly to the, no one knows who I am, so I can really say whatever I want, and it's vitriolic.
Even if they can figure out who you are.
Yeah.
It's just that weird false sense of confidence, and it brings out the worst from people. Not all the time, but it can.
Well, I think there's a place for anonymity with kids, kids who want to express, their sexual orientation or, just there's something that's happening to them that they need an anonymous place to talk about it. I think there is a place for that. From what I experienced with After School, that wasn't really the place for this.
Well, and After School isn't the only app like this. There's Yik Yak, which is also kind of in the same territory, appeals to a much the same generation. Although I think I was reading something today that's like, it's a millennial app, and I'm like, okay, well,
yeah, it's for it was for colleges because you had to prove you were in the area.
So it's maybe a little bit older. Yeah, I think the water gets a little murky when you start getting into anonymous and kids, because there's the discussion always kind of goes around to, well, do the kids know better, or do they know well enough to do this responsibly and and have these tools? Because having an anonymous platform like this that everybody that is connecting to, whether they know that it's you or not, is a lot of power, and that's a lot of power to put in the hands of, let's say, a 16-year-old, and expect a kind of responsible discourse and conversation, like probably not going to happen. And we already know that anonymity makes people jerks. So, then you've got the fear of things like bullying and, teen suicide, because, man, this kind of stuff really hits kids hard when they see something like that directed at them. I can only imagine. So, I don't know.
I mean, maybe it applies to just IDs as well, but it's like you kind of get into another gray area where you're like, well, if you want to see all the good curse words, you got to scan your driver's license. And like the kid who can't afford the car is like, well, I don't have one.
And then it kind of encourages those kids to make, it's like now I need a false ID because I want to get into the swear word room.
Right. And then they're like 10 years old anyway, because the 16-year-olds don't really care about things like that. They just curse amongst themselves as it is.
Now I'm
sure your kids don't do that, but
they do.
But not yet anyway. Human curators. There are human curators here, and apparently they read every single post. So I don't know how much that actually controls the landscape of an app like this, especially considering volume, right?
The kids don't want that. Do they know that? Do they know there's a curator reading everything? That's the worst.
Right. Yeah. That's what they're paying.
I don't know.
That's where the investment comes in, right? That's why a lot of people were like, oh, this is great. It's like the things that kids want, and parents will also say it's great because you have to do this and this and jump through these hoops. But I don't think so. But I think also the investment is interesting because we all know how Snapchat started. It was the kids were using it to send pictures of themselves naked. That was what it started as, and look at it now. So, I think maybe that's what some of the money that comes from, like, oh, well, if that's how Snapchat started, maybe an app
never
that,
know
like,
the long tail.
Right,
You
an
never
app
know
that
the
got kicked out
long-term
of
plan.
the App Store because of cyberbullying, maybe that will become the thing. As long as the kids are there, then we can monetize, and, then Katie Couric will be on there in 5 years.
Maybe.
One can dream.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yahoo ain't doing so well, so.
Yeah, she might have to, switch over.